Hey there, Goa fans. Mark, aka DJ Solitaire, here with episode 4 of Retro Goa Explorations, my series in which I discuss and share some of my insights and thoughts about some of the great music of the 90s. Today is going to be yet another track from the absolutely phenomenal compilation, the first one that I got, the Dragonfly Order Odonata. Every track on here is a killer, and I'm probably going to be featuring several of them. Last time we did Ayahuasca's New Moon, and today it's going to be a project that is very close to me because I knew them well and heard them a lot of times. And it's the only project who has 2 tracks on this CD, which is very interesting. It's Total Eclipse, and we're going to listen to their track Aliens. Now, it was really hard for me to choose which track to feature. It always is. I mean, listen, I love so much of this old music, and each track has its own unique flavor, and that's, again, one of the things that makes them all such long-standing favorites. And Total Eclipse is quite special for me because I heard them probably more than any other project in the 90s. Stefan from Total Eclipse, one of the trio of Steph, Serge, and Loic. Stefan had moved to Japan with the same week that I moved there for the second time in 1998. And we saw each other almost weekly in Tokyo in the 98 to 99 period. And I also heard them live many times. I was at their first Japanese live in 1996. It was the one outdoor party that Jay and Mayuri from Odyssey threw, Tribal Planet. Really incredible party, though really challenging because the cold and moisture caused the computer to shut down a couple of times. I had actually heard Serge a year before. It was in May 1995, and heard him DJ, and that was an absolutely incredible experience as well. But I knew their music first through CDs. And, back in the day, as I said, you'd buy a lot of these CDs and the same artists would appear on different labels. And so, they had some stuff later coming out on tip. But on this first CD that I got, Dragonfly, there were 2 tracks. There's Aliens and Sound is Solid. Both fantastic productions and both completely different. And this is the thing that I think stands Total Eclipse apart from pretty much every project in the scene. Not entirely, because I think there are a couple of other ones, but Total Eclipse had so many different styles within their productions. So many different flavors. They did incredible morning music. They had a lot of cyber rock kind of stuff. They had these very aerated sort of tracks, really driving nighttime tracks, a lot of different flavors. Extreme, we could argue, also had incredible variety. But I think Total Eclipse was one that really stood out as having so many different styles that work in so many different parts of, if you look at the grand arc of a story, of a party in terms of how the music can be put together. They were the ones that I think, for me, in their live sets, which all sounded very different, because they were doing real live adjustments and with different synth sounds and so on. I was just always extremely satisfied by Total Eclipse productions. That said, this might be a little controversial, but hear me out. I was a little disappointed when their first album came out on Blue Room, because the tracks that were on there was a variety, but in general, it had some of that rougher, more granular sound that you hear in some of their productions. And I wanted to have a little bit more of that variety of sound, like we're going to hear, you can hear in both tracks on this Dragonfly compilation. And then there's a lot of other ones as well that have that more really streamlined, fluid kind of evocative sound. So that's just me. I mean, of course, there's lots of great stuff on there, but just as a flow, I was after a little something different. But incredible project, love them dearly. And so, as I was saying, I was present at a lot of events that they played. So starting with that one in '96, and then once Steph moved to Japan, they played in Japan a couple of times. In '98, '99, I was there at Solipse. And in fact, there's a Total Eclipse Festival in Hungary, which was basically became the first Ozora in a way without that name. And Steph had actually passed me off to the promoter as one of their engineers, so I ended up being housed with them. And then, you know, the day of the eclipse, I ended up watching the Total Eclipse with Total Eclipse, which was, believe me, quite meta. But, you know, I just always enjoyed the fact that you never knew what to expect. You always knew it was going to be great. And you always knew there was going to be something different. And this is what's just so fabulous about their music. And this track, Aliens, I think works incredibly well for several reasons. Largely the theme, where it really has that alien kind of quality to it. And then again, the structure and the layering, where you have all these individual independent voices that all fit together so well. So they play together well. And this is, you know, that counterpoint or polyphony that I've spoken to in other videos that I think stands this kind of Goa style psychedelic music apart from a lot of other genres. You don't need to mix two tracks together to make something. Each track is already more complex than other styles where you mix two tracks together in order to get some complexity. And, you know, when you have those different voices that play together so well, it becomes what a party is like. You have this person over here dancing with this person, dancing with this person, and the music itself has all these different lines and elements dancing together and coming in and out, sort of like it is on the dance floor when, you know, you come together with different people and you move around, and then you're with someone else, and then later on you're with another person. So it starts to become an embodiment, in a sense, of the spirit of these interactions at these events. So before we start, I just want to name that Stefan had told me, because, you know, we discussed music at great length, but he told me that they were always very mindful of the spoken samples that they put in their tracks, that it was meant very specifically to open up a certain concept and create a certain response in the consciousness of the person who's listening and dancing to it. So, you know, it totally makes sense when you listen to this one talking about aliens. You know, when you were at these clubs and parties back then, indoors and outdoors, that were decorated like a really extraterrestrial environment, you know, really otherworldly. And especially dancing under the stars, listening to this kind of music, it definitely put you in mind of other realms, other modes of consciousness, the fact that there could so easily be other beings living elsewhere or somewhere. So why don't we listen? Let's give this track a listen. I'll have a couple of little details to share afterwards, and of course during. And at the end of the video, I will share the track without my talking. So let's get started. I love this sort of mysterious introduction. Just notice again that rhythmic bass line, just something we've heard in the other tracks so far. Not a steady 1, 2, 3, 4 rhythm. While that whoosh is going up, there it comes again. Beautiful chord progressions.
Where do they come from? What do they want?
Very mind-opening already, right? Who are they? Where do they come from? What do they want? And again, the kick is not super deep, right? Total Eclipse had a lot of different kicks, a lot of heart chakra kicks in their productions. This is quite different from them and for a lot of the other stuff that we hear, you know, where it's really quite high and percussive, really effective. So it's kind of quasi-melodic, quasi percussive, while you still have that beautiful harmonic bass line. And then this pause here, where that signature comes in. To have this up and down float, and then the kick comes back in. A bit of doubling of that melody on another register. You know, again, all of these stems just sound like this quantum pattern. When you listen on a big system, it just sounds like you're listening to some mathematical equation. I'll get back to that percussive element. I'm not quite sure what to call it. It's really exciting, just the way this used to just, the dance floors used to just explode with this. And I just love that harmonic interplay between that upper part and that bass line. Notice the pause there. And then comes one of those wonderful aerated sounds and beautiful melodic riffs. It's just such a total Eclipse thing.
Where did it come from?
That sample coming in there, and then that beautiful chord. I had the best chord progressions. That little noodling coming in there. And notice all the different layers that are happening simultaneously. It's just amazing. And, you know, these are all elements that we've heard before. The arrangement is really organic and creative. And then the kick drops out here for this little break, but it's all musical content that we've heard before. It's not like modern tracks that present new material at a break. This builds the tension more. The way that bass line comes in again. The percussion here. Incredibly evocative, wonderful riff. You know, a lot of complexity if you think about that upper riff and that lower one. The way those things play. Fantastic. And that pad coming in there. It's like this cosmic kind of hand flute or something like that. Thunderbolt riff, just like an electro thunderbolt shooting through. Just that up and down pattern, it just becomes really quite hypnotic. Again, kick drops out a little bit here. Wonderful sound, that one. Bring the sample back. It's that tension that gets created. Dropping the kick, but keeping that bass line going and building it up. Those questions. This place will just explode whenever you play this. Really brilliant structuring, isn't it? It really becomes a story. That riff again, Thunderbolt. Another round. And everything's always going in 8-bar structures. Oh, now we have a little interval that comes in. And wonderful harmonic complexity. Now it starts drawing to a close. drops out. And then we're just left like that. And of course, there would be some creative depth mixing. Again, these tracks were constructed to be able to be mixed, where a lot of the riffs drop out. There's just a couple of things going, and that's where you would bring something else in. What a phenomenal, phenomenal track. Again, different from anything else that they wrote in a way, because they had so many different styles. You know, that real clanging that's going on, kind of almost relentless at the top, but with that beautiful harmonic bass line and all of those other riffs and that thunderbolt that shoots through occasionally. Absolutely incredible. This was a real popular one of the favorites of Jay at Odyssey, as I told you, and I just want to share here a video clip. So there's not a whole lot of footage that we have from back in the day, but this one party did have some film. I managed to get my hands on it, and it was in May 1995. So this is within my first year of attending parties. And Jay played Aliens, as he often did. And the video jumps around a little bit, but oh boy, you can see how the place explodes. Check this out. Some pretty electric stuff, eh? So, I mean, the strobe lights are so fantastic with that. You just hear how people are yelping and hollering, and just a phenomenal, phenomenal track with incredible energy. Really used to get the dance floor happening. Amazing production by Total Eclipse, as we expect. So that's it. What do you think? Quite a track. I think on so many levels, the spoken samples to do with aliens, and as questions, just sort of getting your mind, and the whole consciousness sort of brewing. Then that whole combination of rhythm and harmonic, different kind of harmonic stems, and then that sort of percussive, exclamation that's going on in that upper level, and that thunderbolt that shoots through. Just phenomenal stuff. Brilliant structuring, absolute masterpiece. One of the all-time greats. So Total Eclipse, brilliant production, Aliens. I'll sign off here and let you have a listen to the full track without my talking over it. Hope you enjoy, and I'll see you next time.
Warning. Where do they come from? What